All right. All right. Well, let's get started. Get this show on the road. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, we've all seen like your video. Uh, I've shared it with everybody through like announcements and stuff like that, but even beyond that, I think everybody who's like a Ace Attorney Smash related fan has definitely seen your video. It's definitely something that inspired me to kind of like make the server honestly and get people for the cause. So if you want to tell us more about like yourself, why you want Phoenix and Smash, how you like came across Ace Attorney, just anything like introductory that you think we should know.
Oh man. Well, I'm first of all, I'm beyond flattered. I've just got the biggest dumb grin on my face right now. but yeah, so I'm Sunfish. I'm mostly kind of stick to Fire Emblem fandom. So I guess like most of the following I suppose I have would be from that, and that's kind of the fan community that I engage most with. But uh, I've ever since Ace Attorney's come out in the West, I've been a huge fan. I got the first DS game for Christmas, and it was my first year of high school, and I had been doing mock trial at the same time, and so it was kind of like getting into both simultaneously, which was a lot of fun. Um, and yeah, ever since then, I've tried my best to keep up with the series. I'll admit right now that I have not played the investigation games yet, which I know is like heresy. But I just playing things on a computer is I don't know. I'm it delays the process a little bit for me. But I just wanted to get that out of the way right now, so you guys can yell at me. Um,
I don't think we have any like spoiler related questions for investigations. You know what? Have you not played two, or just you haven't played either of them?
I haven't played either of them. I do have the first one on the DS, and I guess just everybody sort of said, "Oh, two is the best one," and the first one's kind of eh. So I didn't feel a lot of pressure to keep going with it, as well as it seemed like um, for avoiding spoilers and things like that, it was mostly the main series games. So really excited for Great Ace Attorney to come out.
Definitely.
That'll be
When
my first time playing that too.
that was announced, that was a very active day in the server. I'd say probably the
Oh,
most
I'll bet,
active
yeah.
we've ever had. Yeah, really excited. Like everyone was excited. If next, I mean, the announcement for the Nintendo Direct's happening next week, exactly a week from today. So next week might be,
Hmm.
yeah, that'll be the biggest day in here if the miracle does happen. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
no, greatest attorney. That's fine. I remember like I was in middle school, like my last year of middle school when like they were putting out the trailers for the game. And I
Hmm.
was like so excited telling everybody like, "Oh, Sherlock Holmes is gonna be in this game. Like it's Phoenix's ancestor or whatever." And then it just like years after years, it just never showed up. So I
Mm.
kind of like almost gave up on it, but it finally came, and I'm in college now, so that just shows like
Oh, wow.
how long it's
Yeah.
been. Yeah.
Um,
Um. mhm.
yeah, well that's I guess I dated myself with the talking about when I got into uh playing the original game, the original DS game. It wasn't the very first one, of course, but
You said you
uh
did did you do mock trial when you started to play Ace Attorney, or did Ace Attorney like inspire you to play to go into mock trial?
I it was kind of around the same time. I was interested in Ace Attorney like the when the trailers first started coming out. I remember distinctly I was subscribed to Nintendo Power at the time, and they had like a DVD that they sent out with a bunch of trailers for upcoming games, and that was on there. And it I don't even think like I feel like I've tried to look for that trailer and I haven't been able to find it, but if I do find it, I'll see if I can. But it was just very like cheesy, like still pictures and text on the screen and everything. But I was like so sold because the idea I was sort of been interested in like maybe going into law or which never ended up panning out. But the uh, my mom was a, a big or still is a big like true crime and Law and Order, and she was always watching that stuff, and she always told me like, oh, you'd be a great lawyer because you're so good at arguing. And so I guess I kind of got that in my head, and was had this kind of abiding interest in law, courtroom stuff, and so the idea of there being a video game about uh, courtroom antics and solving murder trials and stuff like that, really I thought was really funny, but like also just a cool thing. And so I knew I was going to be going into mock trial, and so it all just sort of coalesced at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's super interesting. Yeah, I started off with like Ace Attorney before like I got into any like lawyer, law, court related stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I like first played the Dual Destinies like demo, and that's what got me like into the game. So
Oh, nice.
I did not play the game in order. So you started with the first one,
Yeah, yeah.
as you said, yeah. I like started with Dual Destinies, then like went back and played everything, but that's like kind of what put me down like a path where I was like, okay, I want to like maybe go into court until I worked in like a corporate job and they had like a law like kind of thing, and I did not. I realized that court was not getting up and yelling objection, and you always have the right evidence and stuff like that. But
Right, yeah.
yeah, but Ace Attorney is definitely like a cool foray like into that into that region, that area. Um
Right, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think what I've heard is the obviously like the zaniness of it is not realistic, but the and the legal system of course is not realistic to at least the US court system, but the I have kind of heard like what is accurate spiritually is like the critical thinking and like nitpicking, essentially, kind of really looking closely at uh just stuff that most people wouldn't care to notice, and kind of having an eye for detail, and for contradictions and stuff like that. So
That's
but usually you're doing that with like contracts and boring stuff in real life. So you have to know that you got a stomach for that kind of thing, I guess.
um So that, I mean, I think that was a really good introduction right there, getting you how you got into the game and how it like influenced you. If you want to talk a bit about that video specifically, I know I watched that like video. I could tell like you put a lot of effort into that one. You also had I think you recorded one right before the Sephiroth reveal.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah.
much less effort put into that one, but
Yeah. I watched that one too. That was a good video. Just like I remember watching that right before the reveal. But yeah, if you want to talk a bit about like the process that went into like making that specific video, how long it took you, like the research and stuff like that, and then we can probably go into like the actual questions that people submitted.
yeah, okay. So it's a little hard to answer, I guess, because it was a very, and I think most of my editing projects are like this, where it was just a haphazard process. So it wasn't so much like I'm gonna do a video and here's my outline and here's the research that I need to do. It was more like I was kind of I had already gone down the of like making I have a Phoenix Wright4Smash theory crafting Google spreadsheet that I just kind of for fun started working on, and then like it once I had enough content just sort of written, and nowhere really to direct it, I was like, well, I don't know what medium this would go best in, but I kind of want to do a video at some point. I knew kind of in the back of my head I would want to do a video on this topic. Didn't know going in what the thesis was going to be so much, and yeah, I guess like how I brought the whole things about the reveal trailers in, and a lot of that did come from doing the research on what whether Sakurai had ever mentioned Ace Attorney. I think that was how I stumbled upon that article that I talk about, and yeah, from there it was kind of like I started. It was almost like I had one of those conspiracy walls with the red string, and I was just starting to see connections everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is very much what it felt like, and may have been to a lot of people what it came across as. But I think if you see it, you if you see it, you see it.
Yeah, no, that video, especially like with that was the first time I think most people have heard of like the Sakurai, that article. I mean, I heard of Famitsu like before that, that columns and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
I heard today too that apparently that was written like 2005, which was like that was like the last time AA was at the Tokyo or at any like big event, Tokyo Game Show E3. Which is like why AA being at E3 this year is like a huge thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I
Um,
never knew
I
that
know.
Sakurai was there.
I know they did one for Apollo Justice, and I think that was at Tokyo Game Show, 2007 or 6, but it was that was another. I may have even included that in the footage, but it was another one where like Mask to Mask was on trial, and the whole joke ends up being that it's Apollo under the mask, and he's being revealed like as a character for the first time. So I don't know what event that was in. I know it was a thing, but yeah, I mean that's kind of telling that I guess I don't know. But it's promising that they're doing something at E3 for
Yeah,
this year.
let's hope the stars align. Um, all right, so I think we can go right into the questions. We have a good amount of
Nice.
them. Not too much, but I think it's like a perfect amount for like the
All
time that
right.
we're aiming for. So I'm not gonna, for everyone listening, I'm not gonna read them right like in order. I'm gonna kind of jump around to see like what questions go best like after the other, but I will try to get to every question. We'll get to every question. If I don't, if I like by accident don't read one of your questions, just like DM me and let me know so I see that, or ping me in one of the channels. But just let me know by like if I say we're closing and I haven't read your question, just let me know. Unless it's one of those intentional troll questions, which I will not be reading, unless it's yeah. So
Well, now I'm curious.
I mean, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see if we get there.
All right.
So I think for the first question, we're gonna go with Keith's question, one of his questions that was, what makes Phoenix Wright a better choice for a Capcom rep than Dante or Chun-Li, which are like two of the big names in like the Capcom Smash spec. So I think it's like a good controversial question to get right off the bat with if you want to answer that.
Yeah, that's spicy.
Yeah.
Well, I should say I don't know very much, if at all, about Devil May Cry, so I don't. I don't know. I always want to like kind of be aware in any of these discussions of what my biases are, and like things that seem so certain to me are like I feel like anybody who's like really all in ride or die for a character feels that way about their character. And so um yeah, I try to be cognizant of that, and especially like if I if I don't know anything about a character, I can't really um judge their chances fairly. um Chun-Li, I get the pedigree there for sure, and I think that's definitely. I would have maybe earlier on in the speculation posited her more strongly, but I, I kind of feel like with this Fighter's Pass, if I were to just kind of pull something out of my sleeve in terms of commentary on that, um, with the lineup that we have for the Fighter's Pass, we already do have um, a girl from a fighting game, and we do have a silver-haired swordsman. So, um,
That
I
is true. That is true.
yeah, and it's the kind of thing like obviously and especially like as a Fire Emblem fan, I am in no place to criticize any redundancy in the character choices, but like I think when they're determining a fighter's pass and they're determining like you look at the first one and that's a pretty good variety of characters. You do have two sword wielders, but And I'm not saying like we're not going to see a sword wielder anymore in the like I'm not saying that's off the table, but I just feel like for especially outsiders or people who just aren't familiar with the characters or just uh Smash at a party or something like that, like from that perspective, I would say Dante and Sephiroth would seem kind of similar. And Dante and Joker would seem kind of similar too. I would kind of think like more the personality for what I understand. Um,
Yeah, I also haven't like played DMC, but I've heard a lot of people saying Dante would be really similar to Bayonetta. But then you'll have like Dante
that
fans saying
too,
like,
yeah.
yeah, people will say like, if you say this, like that's how I know you haven't played Devil May Cry. So I mean I haven't
Mhm.
played the game, so I think I'm no authority to like say, but yeah, what you're saying, what you said makes a lot of sense. Like they do probably want to like diversify it as much as possible. Knowing Sakurai, he'd probably find a way to even if they really wanted Dante, you could probably implement him and give him like a completely unique move set. But you know that is a good point. Like what you're saying with Chun Li too. We do have like a female fighting game character. Um, but I guess it just we gotta wait and see. I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I also think it would. I was talking with somebody last night, kind of along these same lines about how it's weird that they never did a like an Echo Fighter pass because it seems like a lot of those you just start it starts looking like conspicuous omissions where especially if they had the models for the characters like Proto Man and Shadow and you'd think that these would be really like shoe-ins, like really easy to kind of rig and implement, especially since they created this whole designation for Echo Fighters. But um, so I guess with that in mind, it would seem a little weird to saturate with three Street Fighter characters when like we don't have a second Sonic character or a second Mega Man character. I don't know, that just seems I know it's another fight like the other fighting game. They're the uh, most popular fighting series. I would feel pretty confident in saying. But yeah, it just that seems a little odd to me. Um, but I'm not really in a position. I'm not in an expert position on that.
That's fair. Um, okay, let's go to the next question. This question's
Thank you.
from Infionair. He asks, "What's your most wanted aspect for Phoenix's inclusion in Ultimate? Anything from songs, stages, or character references?" This is an interesting question,
Um,
I think. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. It's got to be the music. Like, well, okay, I will say the reveal trailer is my most wanted aspect. It might kill me, just like the I could go into cardiac arrest. So I that may be a whole monkey's paw situation. Wishing for that, but I'm gonna be so excited if that drops. Um, but yeah, aside from that, the music. I think uh, that's got a whole tab on my spreadsheet. But there's just so many songs, and I'm hoping that we get like a would they drop something like 50 songs they said for with Terry Bogard. So I'm hoping that it's going to be like it seems like Capcom's pretty generous with their licensing, so I'm just really hoping that it'll be just a ton of songs from remixes or just like yeah. uh
Yeah, that's completely fair. The music, there's just so much. There's like such a stockpile, and there's just so many like
mhm.
remixes you can do with the songs and stuff like that. I don't know if you know this, the main composer for the I think for the mainline games, I'm not sure if he worked on like Dual Destinies SOJ, but for the trilogy, it's actually on the Smash team, so he like composed for them.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I don't I didn't bring that up, I don't think, in the video, but I did have notes on that for sure, and that's something that I've always kept in mind. And he did the music for Kid Icarus Uprising,
I didn't
so
even know that.
yeah, that's well, I guess it was a team of people who did the music for that, but Noriyuki Iwadare was on that team. Um, so and he's I really love his remixes for Smash too. He did like the kind of Latin sounding version of Milla's Divine Protection from Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was really cool. And he did a really cool Revenge of Meta Knight medley. Like his contributions have just been really great. So I'm hoping that he's kind of been like nudging Sakurai, like, hey, you want to? I'd be happy to do some of those remixes if you get our boy in.
Definitely, definitely. There's so much. Like I've said like a bunch in the server too. Like the composer, the main singer for Lifelight is the like most recent voice for Maya Fey. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like Sakurai would not have to go too far if he really wants Phoenix in. You already have some stuff. You have some source material. So
right, yeah.
yeah.
I on the topic of voice actors, maybe this is a question that you have later, but I'm
Mhm.
curious as to whether they would
Yeah.
still keep Sam Riegel,
Right.
because it's
Someone did have a question. Let me see if I can find that. I just want to get the names right, but I'm pretty sure they asked, yeah, what if Phoenix were to get in, what voice would you want the I'm trying to find the comment so I can find like the names that they said. Okay, it's by CDP, so we can ask this question if you want now. If Phoenix got into Smash, which voice would you pick for him? Ben Judd from the trilogy and Apollo Justice, Eric Vale from the anime, or Sam Riegel, like you said, from Dual Destinies and SOJ?
um I don't know that I have an outstanding preference for voice actors. I've heard, like, obviously I'm familiar with Sam Riegel's performance because I'm more familiar with the games than anything else. I've seen, I think, maybe one episode of the anime, and I don't remember if it was Japanese or English. But I have watched like the dub outtake reels, which are hysterical. So I know Eric Vale does a good job with his performance. Can't speak to really the old school voice actor. Is Ben Judd? You said was his name?
Ben Judd, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's just such a small sampling that I don't know that he'd really be in the running, but with Sam Riegel, I just because he's on Critical Roles and
Yeah.
he's kind of elevate or ascended to like a um more, I don't know, high profile roles and stuff like that. So
Right.
um I don't know if they'd still be able to get him necessarily, but
I think it would be interesting if they decided to pick let's say like the anime voice for the Japanese Smash Bros, like the game, and then they picked
mhm,
like Sam Riegel for the West. I think that would be like interesting if they saw like who would fit what region better, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, if they
Um,
pick different from the show or the game, yeah.
yeah, and I think in terms of if they get like other characters in there, just as cameos or whatever, that's um, I know that those are more along the lines of the actors who are doing work for them more consistently. You've got like Kyle Hebert and Erica Lindbeck is Emma, I think. I'm blanking on anybody else. Abby Trott, like you said. But yeah, I mean, there's when you look at the other characters, it's more like names that you see associated with Nintendo projects and or who have already been done voices for Smash. So
Mhm.
uh, yeah,
Right, right.
thank you.
All right, this next question is from Dr. Papa Phillips. Why do so many people lately have faith in Phoenix more than ever before? Is the 20th anniversary enough to expect him to join Smash?
Um, I I think what's been most interesting watching all of this unfold is it seems like the hype for Phoenix or the faith in him, as you said, hasn't ever really it's been like a steady burn. It hasn't been you'll see spikes in other characters bandwagons, and then they kind of don't get talked about anymore, um at least from my sort of vantage point. But um there's definitely ones that seem to be like um popular for a while, or everybody's talking about them for a while, and then um that sort of fades and there's a new favorite. Definitely there's been other characters that have been very consistently requested. Sora is a big one. Um, but Phoenix has been like pretty close to the top in terms of popularity and people wanting to see him in the game for years. But unlike some of the other early bandwagon characters like Gino and uh like Bandana Waddle Dee, I guess is one of them. I'm trying to think of like the Cosmos from Xenosaga was like a big, there was a big thing about her for a while. Like these sort of brawl era characters that people were floating for possibilities, like again going on a decade, more than that. Um, it, the rest of them have sort of faded into obscurity, or just are no longer relevant. And um, Phoenix Wright has stayed relevant. If anything, has gotten more popular as the games are ported to more different consoles, and people start to hear about it, and we have stuff like the anime coming out and everything. Like it's there hasn't been a um, like fading into the background like you see with some of these other characters and series. So that's that's I think a big part. But I as far as like, yeah, the things sort of coming together, it's like part of it is kind of process of elimination, I would say. They're especially with Capcom characters, we've gotten some um deconfirmations ranging from soft to pretty hard. When they announced the Monster Hunter Me costumes, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Contender like out of Capcom's characters. I thought that there was a pretty good chance for Monster Hunter.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that was like the consensus among like everybody. Did you see the concert leak that was, or in quotes concert leak that was like going around before like the Sephiroth
No.
reveal? So there was like a pretty big leak and like the speculation thing that like the sphere where people were saying some guy like said that Sakurai was to end off Smash Ultimate. There's gonna be like a big concert, and on that list you had like Monster Hunter. This was like before. I think this was before Sephiroth got revealed, so they called like
Oh,
Sephiroth, yeah, and they also called Monster Hunter. And then I think Crash was to be like the last character. So there was like a big
huh.
thing when everyone was like watching the Sephiroth like me costume reveal, and then
Yeah.
when we saw, or Pyramithra, sorry, Pyramithra, the
Right.
reveal, and
Right.
then we saw Monster Hunter. It was like, oh, everyone's like, yay, let's go, Concert League's dead. We don't have to worry about Monster Hunter getting in, because that was like a big thing, because they like called the last couple fighters, so everyone was worried about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is down for the count.
Well, they could still throw a Monster Hunter into a concert because it's like
Oh
I
yeah,
think
no,
there's
for sure.
music in
Yeah,
the
they
game
have
because of
music. Yeah,
Rathalos.
right, exactly.
Yeah, it would be like having a Cuphead song, it's or Megalovania. Like,
Right, right.
doesn't mean Sans is gonna get in properly, but
That's true. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting thing to think about. Let
mhm.
me see. I think there was another question like that, but if we get to it, I'll tell then if I should ask it again. Let's see. What do you think of Phoenix's chances? This is related to the other question, but this is by Snow Golem. What do you think of Phoenix's chances now that only two fighter slots remain? Have they changed since you made your video? Which is a really good question. Because that video was a little while ago, and we've had like some more reveals. And I remember watching that
Yeah,
video. Yeah, I remember watching that video like at the beginning of Pass 2, and I remember you saying like, I'm confident he's in. He's gonna be in. And then like we get all these other fighters, and people are losing hope. I'm like, hey, Phoenix can still happen, but it's definitely like it's been a ride. So how has your like, you know, confidence wavered during like the DLC rollout?
Well, I will say a lawyer doesn't cry until it's all over. Um, I might be mixing quote from Mother 3, but which also could be very relevant for the C3. Uh, but we always say that. I'm an optimist. I haven't really lost hope. I think my anxiety has maybe gone up, but I in terms of like uh holding out hope. I guess the main thing is I don't want them to reveal two characters the C3 or like reveal both the characters and have it be over and done. I'm not ready for that. Um I mean unless one of them is Phoenix and then I'll probably be fine with it, but uh yeah, I'm just uh I don't know. I it's in terms of his chances, whether those have gone up or down, again, I think like the process of elimination does seem to apply. And the thing I always kind of go back to is like, um, it it seems conspicuous that we haven't had or seen like Capcom's had such a big presence in Smash Ultimate, and we've seen neither hide nor hair of any Ace Attorney anything, um, and uh you know, maybe they're kind of holding off on doing a spirit like if he doesn't get in, maybe they have a spirit panel kind of ready to go and they're holding off on that until Great Ace Attorney is revealed. But then it's almost like they would do Great Ace Attorney spirits, but not. I almost said stickers, but not. I like it. It would almost seem like overkill to do like a ton of Ace Attorney, like the whole series, for just that one game. So uh I don't know, like that's conspicuous to me. We got like the Resident Evil spirits, which sort of softly confirmed those characters. And again the Monster Hunter Me costumes. So it does occur to me like they probably kind of keep certain characters on the table and like don't give away one thing or the other, and sort of those characters end up being like the ones that get talked about the most often or like the front runners. So because yeah, I mean I think if they deconfirmed um Crash and Sora and Dante and whoever else, or Phoenix, whoever the case may be, then speculation would just sort of like peter out, because those are like the main contenders. So I'm sure they're aware of that, and I'm sure they're you know whittling it down to the ones that people care about the most, so that they keep people invested.
Yeah. That was a big thing when they revealed like the Monster Hunter me and the Arthur me from Ghosts and Goblins, where like a lot of people were like, all right, that's it, like Capcom's deconfirmed because like these
Oh.
characters, even though Sakurai was like, well, we're just doing this for promotional reasons. These games are coming out now, but I'll connect
Yeah.
this like the question I just asked. Were you worried like when you saw like that wave, like quote unquote, was all like Capcom?
um uh,
I mean, I was
well,
glad that Phoenix wasn't there. That's what I was happy about.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's no, if anything I was like hyped about that because it was again, not having any Ace Attorney anything, those would be such easy me costumes to do. So if their goal was just to have like just oh, we're getting the rest of the Capcom characters out of the way on this me banner or slate of me costumes, then it's yeah, I don't know. It seems, and they like there's so many of them for different characters. Like I just think of like the Mega Man ones where there's a bunch of different iterations that are all available as me costumes. So to have no Ace Attorney representation seems odd. Um, and like just in the context of that reveal, I was like, okay, this doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it was hopeful. I thought.
And adding on to what you were saying, like, yeah, I think it really is suspicious, and also I with Monster Hunter and Resident Evil, you can make a case like these are gigantic like Capcom like franchises. You can't Smash probably can't just ignore them. But then we got like the Ghost and Goblins like me, and I'm like, if Capcom's gonna promote like Ghost and Goblins remake, like no disrespect to Ghosts and Goblins, but that's obviously like a lower scale game than Ace Attorney. So I'm like, if we're getting if
Right.
we
Yeah.
yeah, if we got Ghosts and Goblins stuff and Capcom's so buddy buddy with Nintendo, I'm almost like positive that we're gonna get I don't know in what capacity. It could be a me costume, God forbid, or it's a spirit event, but like, we're probably gonna get Ace Attorney in some form.
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of what I keep going back to is like, okay, so we got to get something. We're like 110% going to get something. There's no way they're going to just skip over it completely, but knock on wood. Uh but uh so then I'm like, okay, me costumes and spirit event and then like but then you're skipping over like all of that music and like I don't know that's what almost seems most kind of like the most egregious omission is like not having and that's honestly why I think they put Sephiroth in was just to have one winged angel. That's kind of um yeah, I don't know. That's I mean, I'm half joking, but like that's
It
it
probably played
yeah.
into it, like just adding more Final Fantasy stuff because the stuff with Cloud was like abysmal, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still miffed that they don't have the Chocobo theme.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I feel like they could have added that with the me costume, couldn't they?
right, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know,
that would have been
maybe
like a
that's
perfect.
the
Yeah,
final DLC fighter is like
right.
Fat Chocobo or something.
Maybe we'll see. Um, all right. Thank you for that question, Snow.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see. All right, I guess adding on, well, not adding on to that question, but this is another question about like Phoenix's inclusion in Smash. What me costumes and spirits do you think would come with Phoenix Wright's inclusion? This question is from Pip.
Ooh,
This is a
great
really interesting
question.
question too, because I see so much debates that are like, well, this me costume or this spirit makes more sense to be here, or like we only have so much limited spots and this many characters, because Ace Attorney has like so much like beloved characters. So I definitely like want to hear what your take on that is.
Oh yeah, I have a whole tab on the spreadsheet for
Yeah.
for spirits. Me costumes I haven't thought about as much. I would say Edgeworth for sure. And beyond that, probably uh Ryonosuke, the from Great Ace Attorney, just for promotional reasons. And I mean, he's a main character, of course.
Yeah.
So
He
maybe
sword.
Apollo too.
Does have a sword.
I joked about this in the video, but I would love for an Apollo Echo fighter. That would be super cool. But it's probably not gonna happen, so that's fine, I guess.
Know if someone asked this, they might have. But if there were to be an Echo Fighter, in my opinion, I think only Apollo can work. Do you think that a lot of people are between Edgeworth and Apollo? Do you think they could implement like a Edgeworth? I don't know if like because I feel like they're gonna implement stuff like falling and just Phoenix being goofy into his moveset, and I don't know if Edgeworth would mirror that as well as like Apollo. Like I don't think it could fit Edgeworth's character, but maybe they can change some like slight animations. Like, what do you think?
Um, so this is very tied up in a lot of like my I don't know, can you call it headcanons for like a thing that may or may not exist yet? It's like speculations within speculations, but like um I think the overall um move set and I wish I had I'm well thank you for this opportunity because otherwise I don't know that I would have gotten an opportunity to talk about this, but um I what I think that they're gonna do with it if we get Phoenix is um Sakurai likes to sort of have a central idea or theme to characters and their move sets. And that's more been the case as Smash Brothers has gone on. So, like all of the characters' moves will sort of center around some either mechanic or just kind of like a theme, or something about them that sets them apart from other characters. So, and again, sometimes this is like an obvious gimmick, like any character that has a meter that builds up, Joker or Little Mac or uh, Terry.
Joker,
That's
yeah.
the kind of thing, like mechanically that it might be, but also like how Rosalina's moves always have to involve the Luma, and similar with like Olimar and the Pikmin. And we've just seen more characters that have this like central like element from their game and like the gameplay from the game that they're representing present in their moves. And you see this in like subtle ways too. Like my favorite example is most of the Fire Emblem characters have counter as their down B special move. And that's a reference to like the turn-based Sakurai has said this, it's a reference to the like enemy phase in the Fire Emblem games and how you go on the defensive for half of the turns. So just stuff like that where like that's the way he thinks. And so all this to say, what I sort of have assumed with Phoenix's moveset is it's all going to kind of center around defense, and playing defensively, and countering or creating sort of distractions or like evading attacks and things like that. So that would set him apart like conceptually, I think, and it's obviously like a reference to pretty much everything about who he is. So um, I guess for that reason, if there was an Echo Fighter, it would have to be Apollo, or I guess Ryunosuke as well. But Edgeworth has been a defense attorney, but that's obviously not his main thing. So um, yeah, I mean that's yeah, I guess
Mhm.
what I would say. That I hope that answered that question. I think
Yeah.
I totally sidetracked on that one, but
I think you got to the heart of it like early on. I think like onto your like the moves that you're talking about him playing defense. I had like a kind of like thing in my mind where like he'd utilize like traps that are kind of like cross examination, where he just
yeah,
kind of like find an opening. I think it's like along the lines of what you're talking about. I think it's if Sakurai like does like try to implement that into his moveset, it's gonna be like a balance of having like enough stuff to reference like the gameplay in the games, but also like having him as a character that people want to play, where he's not like super
right.
complicated. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see how he pulls that off. Maybe in a week we
Hmm.
will see. Um, let's see. We have some like just general like what's your favorite Ace Attorney like related stuff, but I'm gonna save that like closer to the end so we can just like go through the Smash related stuff and then we'll ask some of the like what just general Ace Attorney questions if that is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's however makes most sense to do it.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Well, this is along the lines of like what you were talking about, but what do you think? This is from Scootus. What do you think is the best game mechanic in Ace Attorney? So it does have to do with the game, but I think since you were talking about like mechanics that they can use in Smash, we can kind of tie this together with like the game with the Ace Attorney and Smash. What do you think is the best game mechanic in Ace Attorney, from the Magatama to Basic Logic to the ones that they don't know yet? Which do you think deserves the title of the best mechanic?
Hmm. Interesting question. Best as in like most.
Maybe most interesting to you, probably.
Okay. What I always liked best was like the more tactile kind of stuff. So the forensics, and like turning objects around to investigate them and stuff like that. Literally everything except the that one thing in I don't know the
Five.
spoiler policies. There's a
Yeah.
something to do with a suitcase in
Suitcase,
Spirit of
yeah, that's
Justice.
pretty infamous, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man,
Oh, that was horrible,
I
yeah, that was
hated that
that
thing.
I spent, like, a day
Um,
trying to figure that out. Yeah, honestly.
there's no figuring it out. It's just
It's clicking
luck.
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, it's completely brute forcing that.
right.
But yeah, I mean, and I really like Emma as a character. So like Rise from the Ashes, probably my favorite case. But you probably end up asking that later. But the yeah, that's the forensic stuff is kind of always what I think back on in terms of like actually playing the game rather than like reading it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Do you, you're familiar with, Sansake? I think they're the one who, like, made a moveset for Phoenix?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they like and it might have been then, or I could be mistaken, and it could have been someone else, but I'm pretty sure they use like luminol, like spraying in their moveset, which is like really interesting. I haven't seen that in like a lot of like other movesets. I can't remember exactly. I don't know if you remember how exactly they like worked that, but that sounds
Um,
like something you might be interested in, maybe.
yeah, I actually I do have a move set. And you know, we don't have to go through that whole thing. But I want to say their use of luminol was like it was a spraying um upwards or spraying around, and it was like the like a splash damage kind of thing. Um the way that I had um proposed it was it works like inkling ink. Um, so I'll just read what I've written here. Down tilt sprays luminol. Opponents doused in luminol will glow with a black light effect briefly, during which their susceptibility to damage is increased, similar to the Inkling's ink. This has an added effect of increasing their priority as a target by things like stage hazards, as trophies, uh, bees. So uh yeah, that again, it kind of factors into more of that, like you were saying, like setting traps rather than doing direct damage.
Would you
But yeah,
would you make that like a chargeable thing? I'm curious, or kind of like how
um,
Inkling, you have to like recharge the ink. Would he like
mm,
recharge the luminol, or would you just have it? He can just spray it whenever.
yeah, I have it as a down tilt, and I'm not like very uh I don't have as much of a mind for balance and things like that. So that could be very broken. And maybe it would need kind of a cooldown timer on it, but I didn't really think that far ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I think that was a really good answer. That's
Thank you.
I have another question. I think this is a really interesting one. This is from Phoenix for Smash guy Lucas. He asks, is in your opinion Phoenix Wright the perfect visual novel rep for Smash Brothers? If not, then who would be? This is somewhat controversial. I mean, you have like the Monokuma fan. I think we can all agree that Ace Attorney is probably, as far as to my knowledge, like the most iconic visual novel character or visual novel game. But in implementing into Smash, do you think there could be a better, like, I know there's some people who want like Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club. They want
Uh,
Monokuma, you know,
all right.
Steins Gate, yeah. Who do you think that, I mean, we're biased obviously, but do you think that Phoenix Wright would be the perfect visual novel rep for Smash Bros?
Um, well, I mean, I did make the video and everything, but I
I had
gotta
to guess,
put it
yeah.
all out on the line and say it's gonna be Saber from Fate. Um, is that was a visual novel originally, right?
I think so, yeah.
uh, I have friends who are hardcore Fate fans, so I just wanted to
Mhm.
um troll them with that. No, I think it's the most accessible kind of in terms of player base. I haven't really gotten into visual novels as a genre other than Ace Attorney. The only other character I might say would be a possibility, and I would have said this with much 5 or 10 years ago, is Professor Layton. Um, but and I don't even know if those games count as visual novels.
I think some people
But
count it as like visual novel or puzzle or like a mix of both,
yeah,
but you could probably make an argument for both ways.
I also I feel like Ace Attorney almost crosses over a little bit into like the point and click adventure genre.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I don't know if that's I feel like I tried looking this up and there wasn't really that much consensus on kind of where it falls into which definition, because the puzzle solving does seem to lend it more of that, like and especially like the visual investigations and looking around your environment, looking at objects and things like that. So yeah, I mean that's I think just for the fact that Ace Attorney sort of straddles two genres at the same time, and neither of those have been represented, um, puts it ahead for sure. And like it's I I always feel like this kind of sucks to say, but like it is more relevant or more not relevant, but like more popular, more mainstream than Danganronpa or uh I Steins Gate, I think was the other example you used, which I just don't see those being like, if they're gonna include something that's a little more niche, it would, I would say, have to be a Nintendo IP,
Do you know about
or
Famicom Detective Club? Have you heard of it with Yumi Tachibana? I don't know if you're familiar.
yeah, I haven't played it, but I was really excited when they announced that. I thought that was a neat little surprise. I remember her trophy from Melee. That was one of those like mysterious, like, oh, Japan only, but it's like a for the NES and it was like a murder game. Like what is this? So I thought it was really cool that they remade it, but I don't know that she's a Smash contender if that was your question.
She was considered back in Melee, so there are like there
Oh,
yeah, actually Sakurai like talked about that. So that I think that
oh,
also
no
helped
kidding.
Phoenix. Yeah, it helped Phoenix
Yeah.
in my opinion. It shows Sakurai like he had plans to possibly implement like a visual novel character.
Oh,
Uh
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
like, from a similar kind of setup too.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, that's fascinating. I will say I haven't kept up with, interviews and news and stuff like that. I've been a little, like, always a little afraid to click on stuff, but, since I had finished that video and stopped doing research, but, so yeah, a lot of this is news to me. That's really interesting.
Yeah, no. Yeah, she was considered back then. I don't know what's going on with Ultimate. Like you said, they have the new games coming in, but I mean, I don't know. It is a Nintendo IP. I don't know if they'd go with her over Phoenix, but I mean, we've been talking about like in this service specifically like a possible double reveal. I mean, both visual novel characters. Like, I mean, that would be like probably the most out there thing Sakurai could do, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I I do go back to like he said the characters have to be um characters that everybody can enjoy and that everybody can appreciate, and that's I think something that really works strongly in Phoenix's favor, because like everybody li- knows the, even if they don't know Ace Attorney, they have seen, objection, and the pointing spiky haired lawyer guy from the video games. Like it's such an iconic image, and it's saturated the culture and the pop culture for like I and I never know if it's like fair to assume that anytime somebody is um pointing dramatically and saying objection in a courtroom that it is a Phoenix Wright reference. But in my head, it is, and I see that like there's like a Key and Peele sketch where he does that, and it's like that has to be that's got to be a Phoenix Wright reference, right? Like, so I just think it's like permeated the culture so much that it's just a, even though the genre of visual novels is kind of niche, it's like I don't know. I everybody will be able to like see that Phoenix Wright is in Smash and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that's wacky. I wonder how he plays. Um, so whereas if it's like a character that nobody even has any like, or very few people outside of the core audience for those games have any conception of who or what they are, it'll just kind of be like, oh, okay, I don't know that person. Uh, So yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. I always feel bad, or like I'm trashing people's picks, but I don't know. I'm just trying to be. Uh,
Be as objective as possible.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I, within my extreme bias for for Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Um.
No, I totally get that. Let's see. I probably should have asked this question before when we were talking on the line of spirits, but who would you want from Vesper, Sire? Who would you want to be the legendary spirit for Phoenix? There was a big like thing in this server where people were saying it's going to be the Judge, it's going to be Edgeworth. Edgeworth's the rival, but Judge is like, he's the guy who puts down the decisions at the end of all the cases. So that's probably like the big two, but maybe you have like an out there pick, or maybe it is one of those two. Who do you think would be like the legendary spirit?
Um. So when I did my spirit list, I guess I wasn't aware that there was only one legend slot. So I have a bunch of ones that I've designated as legend. The most out there one that I have under legend is Dirk, but obviously I don't think that's going to be it. Uh,
I mean, if Apollo gets one, I can see that. I can see
yeah,
it. Yeah,
I don't think
maybe.
Apollo would be a legend status.
Hmm.
I have him as ace because he is in fact an ace attorney.
Hmm.
Um, but the ones um it is between I have both Edgeworth and Maya as like promotable spirits. Um, so it would be between them. The one that I have that is just legend status with no, although they could have a promotion for her too, is Mia.
Oh yeah,
So it's tough. I don't know. I feel like it would. I'm leaning towards a Fae sister. I don't know.
yeah. I personally would want Mia, but I get why
Yeah,
people
Mia makes
want others.
sense.
Yeah,
And that's just like kind of, no pun intended, spiritually accurate. Like, uh, yeah. So I
yeah.
don't know. I'd be happy with any of those. All of
Okay,
them make sense.
that's fair. This question is from Morgana in a chair. They
Mhm.
ask, is Ryunosuke the main alt over Phoenix? In parentheses, the answer is yes. Serious question, by the way.
um, by alt, I'm assuming you mean like a palette swap kind of.
I think so. Morgana has also argued that Ryunosuke might make it in over Phoenix, which I don't know if that's a
Oh.
troll. Wait, there's a debate over whether that's a troll or not, but I
Mm.
mean, what do you think about that?
I see the reasoning behind that.
Mhm.
It being promotional. But I I don't think that you can justify doing that. It's just uh
And I think that would just, I don't know, that would
yeah.
ruffle a lot of feathers.
And it I don't think it's good promotion, honestly. Like it's you would you're sacrificing putting in this character that a ton of people recognize, but may only a fraction of those people have actually played his games. Um So I would think if you're gonna hook people into Ace Attorney, have them play the trilogy first. That's widely available. That's gonna be the most accessible. It's the starting point that you kind of should have. So I don't know. Even as a promotion, I think having Ryunosuke be the pick would be like I don't think it would catch as many new players, if that makes sense. I could see him being an alt, like a palette swap kind of alt, but I I also kind of think that what they're gonna do with that is just have like younger Phoenix and older Phoenix, like old trilogy and new trilogy. Um, so
Okay. Yeah. Do you? I don't think anyone asked this, but do you think they would go with the new Phoenix design with the little hair coming down, the darker suit
a
or the lighter suit? I'm not sure if it's darker or
three-piece
lighter.
suit.
Yeah, compared to
Uh,
the older Phoenix, the OG. What do you think I'm thinking, I mean, I know if some designs they go for like the older or the more iconic design, but for others it's just the most modern. So where do you think they'll go with Phoenix in that direction?
I think they got to go with the OG design. The Although again, I
Like
have it
all
as
that's
both.
that's, like, the main yeah, for, like how Hero is, like 11 is the one they kinda revealed first, he's, like, the
Right,
steady one,
yeah.
yeah, but you have the alts, but
Yeah.
mhm,
I'm trying to think of I guess I'm thinking of like Cloud and Bayonetta where they have two main designs that they kind of switch between. Um so like with Cloud it's the Final Fantasy 7 and the Advent Children designs that he goes between, but I could see that's just what I see as being like the most uh likely. And then I think even within that you can have like um Phoenix in his like college the pink sweater and the mask and then um have that be one of the younger alts and then have one of the older alts be Hobo Phoenix uh
yeah.
which would be the one I would play as.
Right. Yeah, yeah, same.
But,
Alright, let's see. This is a good question from Spirit Medium Jock. They ask, "Why do you think Phoenix Wright has had a huge rise in requests for Smash in the past year or two? I didn't see anyone asking for him at all until a little bit more than a year ago."
hmm. um
I can say it is interesting that, like, I think for the past 2 reveals, like, Phoenix has been, like, top 10 trending on Twitter, which is, like, huge. Um,
yeah.
yeah, that was, like, really nice to see, and, I mean, when I was, like, first starting out with the game, like, Ace Attorney just wasn't a big game at all. I mean, when I got into Smash, I saw a few people asking for him in Smash, but I think Jock is right in that, requests for him have definitely gone up over, like, the past year, so what do you tie that to? Is it the trilogy or more people just getting into the series?
um that's a good question. I think it's all sorts of factors really, I think. I do think, yeah, the trilogy's become more widely available, and um, probably like with COVID, more people just playing games in general and playing games that they haven't tried before, and um, being at home and bored, and just kind of now is your chance if you kept hearing about this series and you've always been curious about it and it's on sale, like uh I know my sister who is not a gamer at all was she used to play like point and click adventure games like Monkey Island and stuff like that. Uh but that's like the extent of it. And um she picked up Dual Destinies to play. Just kind of, she said she had gotten bored of passive media, and she and her boyfriend wanted to um, solve a mystery or do something a little more active, and she knew that I liked Ace Attorney, and so they started on Dual Destinies and were very confused and didn't like it. And so when she told me about it, I was like, oh yeah, you maybe should have had a different starting point. But like that just kind of illustrates anecdotally like the people who if people who are uh coming in from like as complete outsiders or have exposure to this series, then I think again like the seeds are already there for exposure. Everybody knows about the series. It's just a matter of like have they played it. And so I think like over the last year, definitely a lot more people have had the chance to check it out. But so yeah, I think that's a factor. I also, like I said before, like it's process of elimination with in terms of Smash characters. So either characters getting confirmed or characters getting deconfirmed. We've been able to sort of, if you were to have a big list or roster of possible high profile characters that people talk about, like you'd be able to cross off a bunch of the ones that have perennially been on the table, like Gino, or on the other hand, of somebody who did get in, Steve, or a Minecraft character. So yeah, I mean, it's between the ones that have gotten in and the ones that have gotten deconfirmed. It's sort of uh, winnowed it down little by little, and again, not having any other references to Ace Attorney yet in Smash, it's kind of like it's starting to seem conspicuous, I think, and I think people are catching on to that.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Along the lines of Steve, I think that was also like a big point in that. I mean, we had examples before. That's why I always hated when people like make the example. How is Phoenix Wright going to be in Smash? Like, he's a lawyer, you know. We have like Isabel, we have like We Fit, Duck Hunt, like we have
Oh
a bunch of
yeah,
like
I
yeah,
yeah.
just
My
unconventional
response to that
fighters.
is always
Hmm.
like, "Have you played this game?" Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that just strikes me as something like people have heard of Smash Brothers and have seen like the footage with like Mario and Link and Pikachu fighting, and they're like, but how do he Phoenix doesn't have sword?" Um, yeah, it's if you played the 5 minutes of the game, if you know We Fit Trainer is in it, like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's and
basically.
in fact, like there's so much you can do. Like the fact that um the Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom moveset and Sansake's moveset and my moveset are all completely different from each other. Like one like if you know anything about the character and you know anything about the games and like what you could kind of work in and the references that you could work in, like there yeah, it's there's no question you could make something work.
Um, I think on the opposite side of what is working well in Phoenix's favor, there's a question by Nakororu asking, "What is your opinion on the Capcom internal leak decreasing Phoenix Wright's or any other Capcom rep's chances for Smash Bros? As there, if I think they meant to ask as if there were evidence for that being a thing, it would be in the leaks. What do you think
Oh
about that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Um yeah, that did occur to me. That's the kind of thing that I okay, so have have any leaks been for Smash Brothers been true? Like when was the last time a leak was true?
I think I mean like Terry, but that was like directly from Nintendo themselves.
Yeah,
Like
they
early
that was
Smash,
like they goofed
right?
updating the website. Yeah.
Yeah, everything else was like lucky guesses from like random people on 4chan as far as like no verifiable stuff that like they predicted. Someone I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
like the Grinch leak was like suspicious, like it
mhm,
was wrong, but it was also kind of like how did they get that yeah, how did they pull that off kind of thing. But yeah, other than that, all of the proposed leaks for Smash content have not been um verifiable, or they've just been flat out debunked. So that almost makes me think that whatever channels they're using to make these deals, first of all, I think most of the development and most of the, I don't know, just idea generation even would be on Sakurai's end of things. Or Sora, Nintendo, Bandai Namco, like the Smash development end of things. Um, so I guess like it's a little it does sort of a little bit give me pause, but also Smash reveals are such a big deal and Sakurai is so like um persnickety, I guess is the word about spoilers and about like the fact that we don't have or that we didn't have a Subspace Emissary 2 was completely because he was pissed off about people leaking the cutscenes. So like he really, really, really wants to keep this stuff under wraps, and I think for the most part has been successful. And I feel like we don't appreciate that as much as we should because, like from our perspective, we get all these leaks, quote unquote leaks, fake leaks, um, and that messes with our perception of like how secret they actually keep this stuff. So, um, I would imagine that any talks for a Smash character being included would have to be like done uh, over the phone, or just in some kind of setting where they're not storing that information
right.
like in email, like they're not emailing each other about it. There has to be a higher level of confidentiality, I would say.
Mhm.
But I
Right.
also don't know how any of this stuff works because I never worked for a video game corporation. Like I don't know what they do. I don't know. I don't know.
Told me that apparently the last like real leaks were from Bergeben about Dragon Quest and Steve. But I'm pretty sure he's
Uh,
like an industry insider and he kind of like hints
yeah.
towards everything. Yeah, so it's kind of even that's hard to tell.
Well, and I know that for people like that, I what I've heard is they sprinkle in some false leads as well because they don't otherwise like it becomes too clear where they're getting their information and that could get people in trouble. So um yeah, that's something to consider as well.
Got it. Yeah. Um, let's see. Did you I think also with the Capcom leaks about we did you see the Ace Attorney and Teppen crossover? If you know what Teppen is.
I don't. What is that?
You should definitely watch the trailer. It's like a Capcom trading. I'm pretty sure I don't know if it's trading cards, but it's like a card unpacking kind of game, like just
Oh,
Capcom.
okay.
And Ace Attorney like came to the series this year. So it was like kind of
Oh, okay.
it was a crossover, but it was within Capcom. But
Yeah.
I mean that
Okay.
wasn't in the leaks. The Monster Hunter costumes and like the ghouls and goblins costume or ghosts and goblins costumes wasn't on the in the leak. So
Hmm.
I
Okay.
think yeah,
Yeah.
like you're saying, I
That's
think yeah,
yeah.
they're in a different channel or yeah, I don't think it'll hurt our chances too much that we didn't see anything.
Yeah, and now that you bring up the me costumes and the yeah, that
Yeah,
if that wasn't in the leaks, then I think
we're safe. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. Here's a question by Snow Golem. They ask, would you buy Phoenix's amiibo if he got added?
um
I would assume yes, but I could be wrong. Maybe you're not into
uh
amiibo.
yeah, I
Mhm.
would say hell yes. I would
Mhm.
buy several of them. And I would tell myself that I'd make customs. I would make an Apollo and Edgeworth and make all these customs, and I'd keep them in the box, and they would pile up with all of my other amiibos that I've said I would do that with. Um, yeah, no, I would. They've got me hook, line, and sinker. I would totally buy at least one for sure. I don't know if this is I yeah, I don't know if you guys know this and I would drop a link but I would not be able to focus on that and answering questions at the same time so I can if somebody else wants to like look through my my Reddit history you'd find this but I actually did a Phoenix custom amiibo out of a Ness uh
Oh,
painting.
really?
So yeah, it's like a chibi kind of style, but definitely not what the real one would look like. So you know, he's just sort of he's there, he's cute, but I would definitely want a real one, of course.
Yeah.
Um
Uh,
almost sprang for the Figma one time, but it was
oh
way
yeah,
too
that's
much.
right. Yeah, Ace Attorney merch is definitely up there. But amiibos are pretty affordable for the most part, so it would be nice to
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, have some Phoenix stuff. Adding on to that question from Morgana in a chair, do you think Phoenix's amiibo would have swappable objection, hold it, and take bats, where you can attach them to his finger, kind of like Game and Watch's amiibo?
That's a great idea. Oh, that would
That'd
be
be
so
awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I feel like they haven't done anything like that with Amiibo since Game and Watch,
Mhm.
sadly, but
Yeah.
uh it would be cool. I would make little things for him. Um actually, you know, if somebody's got like a 3D printer and could figure out a way to like just make those, you could probably make a killing if that ends up like if all of the rest of those stars align, like that's something to keep in mind for anybody with a 3D printer.
Do you think that they, even without like the swappable aspect, do you think that like Nintendo would be willing to put like a Phoenix amiibo out that's just like say Phoenix pointy, or do you think they have to have like the objection, little speech bubble, or do you think they'll get away without doing that, adding that onto the figure?
This is a spicy take, but I don't think that the bubbles are as integral as a lot of other people do. Um, you know, I guess that I feel like they're comparable to, or there are comparable effects for like other characters, like I don't know, Ryu's Hadoken energy. It seems like it's on a similar level, I would say, of like just an iconic kind of effect, or I don't know, maybe not. I say that because I feel like it's true, but I also it may not really have any parallel with other characters. So um yeah, I don't know that it would be included with a figure. But uh that's the kind of thing that would be easy enough for people to make, I think.
I agree. I agree. Let's see. For Morgana in a chair, they ask, is objection the speech bubble in if it's in his moveset a smash attack or a special attack?
Um, let's see. Uh again, I didn't have the bubbles in the like as such um
Moveset is it just no
in the
bubbles
moveset.
at all? Okay,
It
well.
He does point, that's his side tilt. That's what I
Mhm.
have that as. My moveset's very item heavy. I will say, and that was sort of part of the what I said about like defense and like turnabout was more. I had called it defense before, but it's really more the theme of turnabout, where it's redirecting opponents' attacks back at them. And so there's countering and there's defensive maneuvers, but the other way that I sort of incorporated that into the moveset was like he uses prosecutors' attacks as his own attacks.
Mhm.
Um, so like Francisca's whip and uh, the Godot's coffee mugs and
Maybe the prayer beads
uh,
from SOJ.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've got the prayer beads in here too.
Mhm.
His side special I have is actually Taka. Like he sends out Taka to go attack you know, whatever, like a Pikmin kind of thing.
Well,
Um, but that's very far fetched, and I don't expect that to actually be a thing. But um,
let's see. All right, I think this may be the last. Oh no, I think we have two more kind of on the opposite spectrum.
okay,
Phoenix Smash related questions and then general Ace Attorney questions coming up.
got it. All
So,
right.
second to last Ace Attorney Smash question. What inspired you to want Phoenix Wright to join Smash? So we heard about how you got into Ace Attorney, but maybe if you want to talk about how you got into Smash and what is it that made you think, you know what, I want the funny lawyer man in Smash.
Funny lawyer man go burr. Uh, I I think I just like I want to see stuff that I like get represented in Smash Brothers, just broadly. And uh, I my main squeeze is Fire Emblem, and so I've been so like um abundantly overfed in that department, and I cannot request anything else from my overall favorite series. But um yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Ace Attorney for a really long time. I got into seriously playing Smash. Well, I don't want to say like it was. I'm not a competitive player or anything, but um, like when I was in junior high, I was really into playing Melee, and I remember getting really good. And I've never been able to get to that point since then. But I just like super got into it, um, and when it first came out and when I first played it, I was like just over the moon that Pichu was in the game, because I was just really liked Pichu at the time. That was like I was much younger then, but um, the yeah, I think like ever since then, I kind of Smash Brothers has had a very like special and central place in. I call it's like the Disneyland of Nintendo, and this is obviously before they had their own theme park, but it just like that sense of you there's sort of a validation when something makes it into Smash Brothers, and like with Melee especially, like that I know I'm jumping all over the place with this answer, but I just remember like going through the trophy gallery and seeing this kind of like museum unfold of all of these game series that I'd never heard of, and kind of like realizing the extent of just even just Nintendo's legacy, as represented. And there was just like this element of mystery to all this stuff because we didn't have really robust internet sources at the time, and I would just pour over those trophy descriptions, and I like kind of had a drive to like find out about all of these games, and once upon a time play all of these games. I don't really have that expectation anymore, but for a while I was picking up games, and like renting them from Blockbuster when that was a thing, you know, just kind of as a like almost like as a scholar of games because of Smash Brothers. Like I wanted to, if something was important enough to get into Smash Brothers, then I felt like I wanted to check that out, and that was worth playing, like because of that um, level of validation that I got. So, like to turn that around, things that and series that I uh, really ended up getting into, or got really excited about, I would always sort of like think about, could that work in Smash Brothers, and is that, does that have the pedigree to get into Smash Brothers? And um I think so far it's like either they definitely have, or they definitely don't have that pedigree, or in the case of Fire Emblem, they probably don't have as much of that pedigree as they are represented in the roster, but they got in anyway. But like it's, I don't know, it always has kind of seemed like Phoenix Wright could get in, and Ace Attorney is like relevant, and has enough of its own place in the legacy of gaming to make it in. So it's like, yeah, it's a matter of kind of getting that validation, but also I don't know, I think sort of the emotional investment that I've put into being a fan of Ace Attorney, such as I have, like it would just be cool to have that repaid in a sense. It's I just really want him in. Like uh
as do most of us. I mean, I think it's like a
I
very
hope that answered
similar.
that question.
Yeah, I think yeah, that was good. It's like a really, I think we all share like the sentiment. We just, to see like Ace Attorney like, kind of like memorialized in Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be really cool. There was one more. Well, there's two more. I didn't see this other one. This is actually from me. Oh, and that last question was from Ring, user Ring. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. I if
Okay, thank
for
you.
the yeah, some of the other questions,
That's a
I'm
good
not sure
question.
if I said the usernames. Let's see. Oh yes, from me. Do you still think the reveal for Phoenix Wright will incorporate Joker's stealing of an invitation in the trailer? 'Cause I remember when you brought that up, that was I've heard of like other stuff using Joker, but I'm not sure if I've heard that, and the whole like you tied in the like the Phantom Thief and having like Mask the Mask. Like, do you still think that'll happen, or maybe like to a certain extent it'll happen, or do you think it'll be there's just so many like good trailer ideas for Nick and
Oh
Smash. But
yeah.
how do you think, do you think it'll still incorporate that, or maybe something else?
Um I mean, I think at the time of making that video, it was before the Game Awards, and I was like really high on the idea of that happening.
Like he comes
I was
back
just
and
like, it's in Los Angeles though. It has to work. I know that's not how it is in Japan, but that's fine. They don't have to know that. It's fine. Um, so it was just like it. I kind of got carried away with that idea, and I propose it, but it's, especially in hindsight, like I wasn't totally serious about it. It was more just like, oh, wouldn't this be cool? But I don't know. I feel like they've done less of the bookending with trailers, and I also just think like with COVID and with the delays with development and everything, they've had to make some sacrifices and make some cuts to like the trailers that we have gotten with this batch of DLC haven't been, I don't think, quite to the caliber of uh the ones in the first pass, for the most part. Especially like Steve and Pyra slash
Very interesting
Mithra.
how they, like, cut in that, like, you'll have the gameplay itself, and then I
Mm,
kinda like the transitions, but at the same time, I don't think they utilize that much in, like, the original, like, Fighters Pass with, like I think it was just straight CGI or I mean, you'd get, like, they come into Smash, but you wouldn't get, like,
yeah.
actual, like, recorded gameplay of, like, the
Right.
actual game, right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it really all depends on like the context for how it's revealed too, because I've and like was something I keep going back and forth on is it, do we know that it's a Smash trailer from the beginning? Um, because I think that's where it would be a really memorable kind of trailer, but I also kind of think, uh, I mean, they did that with Isabel, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if they have done that with anybody else, because I think it's always been like you get the crosshairs and then it uh, goes into whatever the trailer is, even if they sort of started out with a misdirect. I don't remember what they
Yeah, I
did
guess
with
with the
Violet.
Pyro one, someone in the server just messaged me about the Pyro reveal. I guess that was kind of like a fake out, I guess.
I thought they had started that one with the crosshairs,
No,
but
I
maybe
think
not.
the
Okay.
direct like opened and then it was just like they showed like Final Destination during the trailer. They're like, oh yeah, this is Smash, but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, and I missed the first part of the Byleth reveal.
mhm.
I uh came in late to the stream, but so I don't remember if they did it with that one. Where and that one they start off with a like in-game cutscene and go into the Smash reveal. So I think I would prefer it if we didn't know going in what it was gonna be, but it's also sort of, although yeah, but there's I don't know,
Yeah, I was gonna
there's
ask you, do you prefer? It sounds like you prefer the kind of like the hints, like the slow burn into it, and then you like
yeah,
come to the
yeah,
culmination. Oh, it's Smash, but
yeah,
like me personally, I do like. I would like to see like the crosshairs, like you're on the edge of your seat, and then like I see the little typing, like like it's Phoenix Wright. I'd probably like jump out. I think it's just, do you prefer like the slow burn getting into it, or just like automatically like you're pumped and you know? And it sounds like you prefer the kind of more subtle kind of reveal. Is that correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would prefer if they did a misdirect, and I think like with the history of the whole reveal trailer thing that I talk about in the video, like that that almost makes me think like it has to be
Right.
the
Had the thing that,
courtroom.
inspired Sakurai, that, reveal,
Yeah,
that okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, like it, and I don't know if it would be in the using the exact assets that we have, or if it would be more along the lines of like uh 3D models in like we have in Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice. Because those are technically newer, but like the trilogy has gotten more recent releases. Um, I guess there's a style for Great Ace Attorney too, so I don't know, and I don't know to what degree they're like they've uh polished up the models and everything for that for Switch, but um the yeah, I mean they can make it look pretty spiffy and yeah, I feel like I had something else that I was gonna say on that note, but I
Yeah,
don't remember what it was.
maybe it'll come back to you. Um, do you think, if they were to do, because you want the fake out, would it have to be with a new game? And if it was a new game, do you think it would be Ace Attorney? This kind of ties in with one of the questions. Let me see if I can pull it up. I think someone asked if we're to get a new game next week at E3. Morgana in a chair asked, "Do
Mm,
you expect us to get Ace Attorney 7 or Trilogy 2 at E3, or just more the Great Ace Attorney?" And today they confirmed that the Great Ace Attorney will be there, but or maybe even
Okay.
nothing, they ask in the question. So, well, we are getting the Great Ace Attorney, but what else do you think? And then
Yeah.
tying that in, do you think that's where we can get the fake out reveal? Which is also curious because
Ooh, yeah.
Capcom is one day before Nintendo, so I've had a debate with some people that are like, Nintendo's not gonna let Capcom have the Smash reveal, and then maybe Capcom will let Nintendo have the Ace Attorney reveal. Like, how do you think that can work in if hypothetically we get that fake out reveal?
Um, yeah, that's a good question, and I haven't poured over the E3 schedule. I had heard about Capcom having their own presentation, which I guess is they always had that?
At E3,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. I
Huh.
feel maybe some years they didn't have stuff to present and they didn't have a whole presentation, but this is interesting in that like the games they confirmed today are all like games that have been announced. So, but they did
Yeah.
say and more. So maybe we'll. I mean,
Mm.
we could get more. So, or it could
So
just be like recycled trailers. Yeah.
yeah, the uh was the new trilogy or the second trilogy, the Apollo trilogy,
Like
part of the leaks?
it was, but I
Okay.
don't. I think I'm not. I think Ace Attorney 7 was like more in the leaks. It made it sound like Ace Attorney 7 was gonna happen, and then like
Mm.
Trilogy 2 was kind of like let's see, maybe it's like on the table,
Oh,
but we
okay.
don't know. Yeah, so Trilogy is
I don't
kind of more
huh.
iffy. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, but it seems like that's the kind of thing, like, they gotta do it, you know?
Yeah,
Even if it's just, like, I have Apollo Justice on my phone, they could I feel like they could probably just, like, package them together, and it wouldn't really be that big of a deal.